So I shaved the beard off. I think I prefer it with the beard though, so I might grow it back. But today I'm very excited because I am going out shooting with somebody. I spend a lot of time on my own these days, but today I am going out with someone very, very special. And I look forward to sharing my day with him and also sharing it with you. So, let's go. I was out with Paul G. Johnson about a year ago now, and I said, I don't think people at the top of the landscape photography game in the UK, people like Charlie Waite, Joe Cornish, I don't think I would fit in with those people. Whether it's because I'm a bit younger or newer to the industry, I don't know, but that was my feeling. I'm rushing up this hill because there's a school party coming up just behind me, and we're at Coldstone Cut in Yorkshire. After I'd said that to Paul, literally about 5 minutes later, I got an email from a girl called Emily, who is the managing director at Light and Land, which is owned by Charlie Waite. He also runs Landscape Photographer of the Year. He's a very good and very famous landscape photographer, and I was lucky enough to get involved and work with him, spend a bit of time with Joe as well. And the truth of it was that they are just staggeringly good people, kind, generous, helpful, supportive, and it's just been a real eye-opener. They're not big egos, they just produce great work and do great things, and I love being involved. Today I'm lucky enough to have Charlie Waite with me, so I'm just scaling this hill to meet him. So here he is, Charlie Waite, and he's made some friends already. Some people instantly recognised him all the way up here in Yorkshire, and I think we're about to be overrun by school kids. What do you think of Coldstone Cut then?
Well, I'm impressed by what has been achieved, and this is a vision of probably one or two people at the most. And what's really stunning is that it's happened. It's actually happened. And I imagine if I could get 100 feet up into the air, I'd get a feeling of what it's like.
Yeah.
We've got 3 rescues. So you had a horrible time in a previous life.
I think so.
But it's okay now, you're loved. Well done for that.
Right.
He must be. I wish I could speak the Chaffinch language. Very complex.
One of the things I'm fascinated to find out, and one of the things people talk about a lot to me, is what to look for when you first get into a landscape. I think some people find it difficult. I'm very interested to hear Charlie's thoughts on that.
I know this is an old, cinematographers always do that. And that's always a technique, really, to try and think about what is going to be excluded. And you know as well as I do that the exclusion of elements within the photograph play as big a part as the inclusion. In fact, I've got a little pet phrase, if you can bear this, which is attend and intend. Attend to everything, if I can remember it, and let everything attended to be either intended or not intended or accepted to be there.
Well.
And that sounds highfalutin, but in fact I think it's probably true. So omit the redundant. So what do I not like about this? An aluminium barn, or a barn with a nasty aluminium roof, 1 or 2 cars whizzing along the road, but the road is not really clear. So the story, the big player, the protagonist, is the tree and this limestone pavement, and trying to get a relationship between the two, and almost a secondary feature is the viaduct, which I think in a lot of photography is made primary. But this tree is the king, fairly wide angle. Light's flat, so that immediately makes me think monochrome. Colour is fairly muted palette, as they say. So it might be worth having a go. It's a long time since I've been here, Adam.
How long?
10, 12 years. Yep. Amazing, really. But it's still here, and people were here before me. Will it work today? It's not ideal. In fact, it's far from ideal. But what I think is so wonderful about landscape photography, and I know you would agree, is it's the pursuit. It's the having a go, isn't it? It's trying to make it work. And the drive that makes us want to do that.
Do you have any go-to things you do then when the light isn't as great as you would have hoped for? Or
In all honesty, I leave.
do you?
I do. And one of the reasons I leave is because I was brought up with transparency film. And the only way you could retouch, which is what they used to do in those days, is turn it into a 10:8 tranny and then handheld retouching. So before Photoshop or anything. So we were of that school of having to get it right in camera. That's not to say, weren't we good? Of course not. Because now Photoshop and Lightroom and all of the other image post-production techniques are to my mind a continuation of your artistic interpretation of the scene. But we were brought up with a tranny, and if you didn't get it right in camera, that was kind of it. So you just used to have to come back, and that's what we did. And we couldn't make any changes of any kind, really. In the darkroom we could do a little bit, but if we're in colour, really difficult. Really, really difficult.
So say if you've travelled to another country or a long way, and then you find flat light, are you patient knowing that you might go back there in 10 years' time? Or are you...
Good question. My name is Waite. You gave me that one. You handed me that one on a plate. I, looking back on it, if I think I was doing a book on Yorkshire, I just would tick this one as to be returned, to be returned, to be returned to, because the structure has got promise, great promise. So the relationships are strong. There's a horizontal line of the viaduct, obviously. The branch is not exactly horizontal, but there's a very strong relationship between the two. So it's sound. The relationships are sound. The positioning of the tree is sound. I think just about everything else about it I find very, very appealing. So it will absolutely come to life, and I'd like to immortalize it, to use that word, in the most complimentary light. And I've got another little phrase, if you can bear it: nature suspended in one of its most perfect performances. And that's what I think it deserves. And there will come a time, probably when you and I aren't here and we're somewhere else, when it just suddenly will become enlivened, and it'll be a very, very beautiful, magical moment. And I'd like to be here when that happens, but it isn't happening now. But what would be good would be for me to get a camera out, my old Hasselblad, and look through a 50mm lens and see whether that would be suitable, which I think it might be, so that then at least I'm prepped for when I come back. Every single picture I ever did I did a Polaroid first. So what we do is we just get roughly there, and we pull the sheath, like pulling the slide, fire off, put the sheath back, pull the first one there, and then the second one, put the camera back, and then that usually goes in there, keep nice and warm, and that's where the pod is burst, that's where the developer is burst, and then it spreads across the picture. And then you wait for about a minute and burn your tummy in the process. And all being well, then you should not necessarily tell you much about exposure, but it's then quite a nice idea to turn your back on your subject and look at the photograph, not making any comparisons, but just seeing it in the cold light of day and just saying, is this going to work? Our picture might be ready. Shall we have a look? So then what happens is you then peel the image away from its backing paper, and hey presto,
oh wow, look at that.
A little bit dark, but you know, it's old technology, but it works. And now I can see that the positioning is not too bad. There's a little bit of an empty area here. It's a little underexposed because our light changed. But very handy thing. And then, you know, 6 weeks later, I look on the back, it's a little diary, and it says limestone pavement, Ribblehead Viaduct.
And do you keep them all?
I got every one of them.
Have you?
Yeah, I got probably about 1,000 of them. And that's really what it is, isn't it? Primary, and I've heard you see this, the primary reason behind our landscape photography is for ourselves, expressing our response to our world around us, using the only art, the medium that we use and that we enjoy, which is photography.
Yeah.
And then saying to other people, you know, hope you like this. It's a simple equation.
I might have said that, but not quite as eloquently, I think.
Oh, no.
Right, so I'm set up for a shot, and Charlie's right, the light is not great, and some rain is just currently coming across our head. I'm not going to lie, having Charlie Waite stood behind me while I'm doing this is a little bit nerve-wracking, but he's such a nice guy that I'm confident. Anyway, I want to get it just to document this moment, because it's fantastic. Having a great day. Let's turn around and show you. That is the tree that Charlie has directed me towards. It's got a beautiful shape in it, and I'm getting, what am I at? I'm at 16 millimeters, and I'm using the limestone pavement here. There's some grass which I'm stood on, and I'm using this bit here as my foreground interest. That's leading me through. There's a little patch there of boggy type ground that doesn't look great, but then we've got that other bit of rock just there that leads us round off the bottom edge of the image. Then got the tree as the main subject, like Charlie said, and then looking through the arch of that tree there towards the viaduct. And I'm managing to keep the road out of it. There's a little pathway here which you shouldn't be able to see either. Hopefully those cows will move, although I'm starting to get pretty wet now. I'm getting every single branch and leaf of the tree in the scene, which I feel is important on this occasion. So I'm at, let's have a look what I'm at. I'm going to go to F11 is fine. I'm focusing on the tree branch in front of me. There's manual focus that. Now I'm going to have to up the shutter speed and up the ISO as well, because it's very dull. It's windy, there's branches blowing about. Let's crank that to about 640. That looks about right. 2 second timer because I'm starting to get very wet. And let's have a look at that. Right, I just need to readjust a touch because, like I said, I have every... it's getting very wet now. All in real time. Let's just rotate that around a bit. There we go, that's better. I didn't have the whole tree in there, like I said I was going to. So let's do that again. Move this camera out of the way. Let's have a look. I actually think I prefer it now that it's raining because it's giving me a little bit of separation between the tree and the background. The clouds still are great. Those hills in the background now have, the rain has created a more of a brighter backdrop. The hills in the distance are now just very subtle, and it actually looks really nice. Yeah, really nice. One of the things I appreciate with you as well is that you've spent your whole career trying to share that experience with other people as well.
Well, that's kind of you to say that.
And that's,
I don't want to keep it inside.
No, and I think you're doing that through Light and Land, and
Yes.
I think you do it through Landscape Photographer of the Year as well, because I think the competitions are good for just celebrating photography and landscape photography. And it's just it's fantastic.
I'm glad you mentioned Light and Land and Landscape Photography of the Year because they mean a great deal to me. Really, they really do. And I think all of the leaders, and you will now know, that when you're guiding somebody and assisting them in the process of perception, never mind the technical, but just to really truly see all the component parts, all the ingredients, a bit like a cook, you know, a bit of this and a bit of that and a bit of this, and then moulding them together so they become a cohesive whole, a sound and cohesive whole. And then for your student to suddenly get it and just say, oh, that's marvellous, thank you for that. It, you know, it means an enormous amount. And with Landscape Photographer of the Year, for people to have got out and committed themselves, you know, to producing a photograph that they then enter into the award, and then they get a, you know, fairly nice bit of prize money. But more than that, they are able to say, I did that. So, you know, I'm looking forward to it coming out again, you know, next year.
It's really changed some people's lives as well, hasn't it? For some of
it's nice.
For some of the winners.
It's kind of you to say that.
Yeah.
I like to think it has.
One thing I would love to see is how the judging process works.
Yes.
So people have an understanding of what you're looking for, or
Yes.
what you even if you've got, is it 12 judges you have?
Yes, I think that between 10 and 12.
Even if you have even if you could see the judges discussing some images,
Yes.
just to give people an idea of
Yes.
of what you're looking for and what people's feelings are about a particular image.
Yes.
That's certainly something I'd like to see.
We have thought about that a lot. We really have. I think
It just gives that extra bit of transparency
It does.
for people to
Yeah.
understand
Yeah.
that it's not fixed or anything
No.
daft like that.
Oh Lord, no. I mean, it's worth saying that it is a tortuous process, and everybody makes their own private decisions. It's a very, very interesting point, and yes, the last thing we want is to be thought of as being, you know, secretive. But as they say, I will definitely take that on board. It's raining heavy.
It's raining quite heavily now.
Look at the light on the limestone
It's
pavement
fantastic,
now.
isn't it?
Yeah. So it's turned from a mid-grey right up to whatever.
A shimmer.
Yeah.
Anyway, Charlie, thank you so much for today and
come on, it's
coming
good
on
fun.
my channel. I'll
Good
give you a
fun.
hug.
Yeah, come on, a man hug. A wet man hug.
Thanks so much.
Very good. You're welcome.
Anyway, subscribe, like, do what you got to do, and I'll see you on another one very, very soon. I'm Adam. This is Charlie.